Yes, puppy. Hi, everybody. We are going to go live. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And we are going to go live in just a few seconds. I'm going to set up here with our guest, Alif, and we'll get started. Hopefully, I won't break something in the midst of this. Okay. I want you all to see him so that we can talk. Let me see. Yes. Okay. Oh, this is crazy. There we go. Okay. Everybody can see you. Maybe you can't see yourself.
No, not yet. I think you might have to turn me down a little.
Can you see? Oh, Jojo says it's okay. I think for the viewers, everybody can see you.
Oh, okay.
I think that if I put you any higher, I think that they might not be able to see you.
You can put me a little lower if you want. That's what I meant, like, because...
Oh, lower. Got you.
To me, I'm above.
Oh, yes. Screen. Yes. Got you. That's what you meant.
Yeah. If they can still see me, that's cool.
No, they can't see you. That's why. If I put you lower, okay. Can't see you. But let me see. This is all about creating. Maybe lower like that. Can you see me now? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can. I think people can see you too. I just want to make sure that it's going to stay like that.
All right.
Okay. If you can't see me, just listen for my voice then. Okay.
I can see you.
Now you can see me. Okay. You might have a little glare. But this is like testing.
Right.
Cool stuff, right? Woohoo! I cannot see him. Jojo says he cannot see you.
Oh, no?
Oh, no. Hold on. Let me see. So maybe now. If you can't see me, Alif, it's okay. We just want the viewers to see him. Okay. Can you guys see him? Better. Somebody say better. I think that's Jojo. You see, you have to have somebody who's like taking care of you. So everybody, this is Ms. Rosa. Everybody should, who is subscribed to my YouTube channel. That's awesome. And I thank you and I appreciate you for doing that and supporting me. You guys know that I always do, I always speak from my heart. And I always want to share so that we can make this world a better place. And also, I'm always sharing about health and wellness and how to educate ourselves when it comes to just life, just questions that you might have, and situations that you might be going through that is affecting you, but you just don't know how to do it so you could relate to me. You know what I mean? So I'm always here to be able to share and support you guys. And anything that's got to do with health and wellness, I'm the type of person that you can go to. And also you'll learn that Alif is also a personal trainer, which is awesome. So once we're done with this YouTube video, I think that if you guys want his information, we can definitely get him his contact to you if he wants to. But I'm sure he's gonna be able to say yes. So with that said, I introduce you to Alif. I've actually known Alif since our second year of college, of undergrad. And we met because he played basketball in college. And I also played basketball in college. And he was pretty good. And I think he ended up going into overseas, right? You played overseas basketball. So he just has a story to share. And he has some experiences that he wants to share with you, especially now when it comes to dealing with racism. And me being a Latina person, I've shared before how I've faced the stereotype and racism to where I live. I invited Alif so that he can share his personal truth as a Black father. He's an entrepreneur, he's an actor and model, and he's also a personal trainer. So I'm gonna have him introduce himself and just start off with your background, a little bit about you, and see how people can relate to you.
All right. Well, hello everyone. How you guys doing? Like Rosa said, I'm Alif. We've known each other since college. I am a personal trainer. I am an entrepreneur. I co-founded a candle business called Holistic. And I also am an actor and a model. Before getting into those things, I played basketball in college, and then I played professionally overseas in a bunch of different countries for about 6 years. And then I stopped that, and I started I started personal training and modeling, and then I moved out to where I live now in Los Angeles to continue that, and I started acting as well, and opened my other business of the candle business as well.
Now, you said you travel with your basketball, right? Being overseas basketball player. Where did you go? If you don't mind answering that.
Oh yeah. Well, I started in England. I played in England for a couple of years, and then I went to Mexico. I played in Ecuador. I played in Germany, and I ended in Japan.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Now, what if you don't mind answering, who were your best? Like what was your best experience through that traveling, and the fact that being an athlete, which I know that there are so many kids out there who are wanting to be basketball players or baseball players or just anything that's got to do with sports. What do you what was the a few of your favorite experience with that, or all of them?
So every place I went to had their own good experience. They also had, they had their things that I had to adjust to because it's a whole different country. You had to learn so many different things. For me, my favorite was probably either England or Japan, because England was probably the easiest to adjust to because it was kind of like the mix between Europe and America. So it was like in the middle ground. So they speak English. They have like a lot of things from America that's the same, but they still have the European vibe. But Japan was just so different that it was just amazing. It's like a culture shock. It's just great to see. I'm really big into anime, so it was great to see like that in real life, and the language is really cool. The food is so different that I like trying different foods. So it was really like an experience. It was a really good experience. It was definitely a hard experience because it's taking it to that next level. When you're a professional at something, that is what you do for work. So it's not just a recreational thing. Your day is consisted of basketball, whether it's practice, whether it's working out, lifting, whether it's going to promotional things for the team, whether it's signing stuff for like the cards or whatever for the team, whether it's eating right, making sure we're eating right, making sure we're getting ready, or watching basketball film on our team of the opponents. That was something that I had to adjust to, but it becomes easier after you go, because that's what you do. So you love that thing, that sport, whatever it is. So you're putting your all into it. So that was a really good experience. Going to South America was really cool. It was an eye opener for me to like experience and understand what I should be appreciative of, because there's so many countries that don't have a lot of stuff. And where I was in Ecuador, it was very poor. So I got to see it firsthand for myself and like understand that this is what people have to go through. So I need to be thankful for what I've been blessed with. And it was really great to see the culture, to understand the culture. It helped me with my Spanish because my Spanish was rusty, but like I was able to, I had to, speak more Spanish because they didn't have many translators. So I was like, I had to like either translate to the other Americans or like try and talk to someone to get our point across. So it helped me with that. And Germany was just a whole different experience because their language is so different and their culture is so different. But it was really cool because there's still actually a lot of Black people over there. So that was really cool to see. They're mainly Africans, but they've been like over there from their parents or their grandparents, so they've been like completely adjusted to that culture. So they speak multiple languages, and German is one of them. So that was really cool to learn from them and experience that. So it's just an overall really cool experience flying to these countries and just like, getting into that culture of pretty much a nomad. So like you're just going to one country, you're living there for a year or maybe two, then you're going to another country and going to another country. I just like traveling, so that was really, really dope. Like really
that's cool. Now, would you say what is the difference between college basketball and overseas? What is the difference? Because I know that one of the difference probably doesn't have to do with academics, right? Because you don't have to be in school and then go to practice or do that. So that's one of the differences. But what other differences do you find?
Well, with going professional is a little different than college in the sense of I wouldn't say camaraderie because we're all still very cool as a team, but it's not so, you're not so involved with your teammates because you have your own place, you have your own apartment, so you see them. If you guys hang out outside of the team, that's different, but you have your own life and your job is basketball, so you see them when you have to do all those things that include basketball, but you also have time to yourself. So a lot of people, some people were still in school, like they were taking classes online, or they had businesses that they were doing back home and like taking care of that while they're not doing their basketball stuff. Or some people traveled when we didn't have to do anything, so it's like some people hung out with each other and did their own thing or whatever, but some people were on their own. Like I was a mix between the two because like I didn't really know them yet because it's a new country and everything. So once I started to get to know them, I was hanging out with them. But at first I was, by myself doing my own thing or talking to my daughter online and stuff, So that was mainly it. That's one of the biggest differences. It's not like a school setting where you guys go to the same classes together, then you go to lunch together, then you go to practice together, and go to the dorms together. We have our own cars, we have our own lives, so it's like a regular job.
Awesome. But something that you love to do, which is basketball.
Right.
So now, would you, just because I know that there are a lot of, even my viewers are younger, in that younger age, and I know that a lot of them might want to or are looking into, saying like, even my son, he says like, I want to be in the NBA or just even like, play college basketball or overseas. Would you say that being overseas or playing overseas basketball, is that something that somebody could live on for the rest of their lives? Like it's a job, or it has a limitation?
Yeah, that's a good question. And, something that a lot of people don't know, like, because yes, a lot of people want to be in the NBA and everything, but a misconception that a lot of people have is that just because you're in the NBA, that you're going to be making all the money that LeBron or Kobe or Michael Jordan or Allen Iverson, they were making. And that's not the truth, because there's a lot of people who are in the NBA who are making, they make good money.
Yeah.
Let's not get it wrong, but they're making maybe a couple $100,000 as opposed to millions, So you could also be making that same amount overseas, depending on the tier you're at. tier of basketball you're playing at and your level of ability. So it just depends on where you're going as well, what country you're in.
Okay.
In Asia, they pay a lot because they love basketball.
Oh, wow.
So like Asia is big for money. Europe is very big for money because basketball is huge over there.
Okay.
So like countries like that, England is it's like second tier because it's more so football, like soccer, that is bigger. So that's why it takes more. Same thing with South America. It's more so football. That's the main sport. So it just depends on where you go. It depends on your ability to play. But just saying that to get in the NBA, you can get in the NBA, but you could be on a contract for only 21 days making $10,000.
Wow.
And then that's it. You know, if they don't want you anymore, that's it. So it's a good stepping stone. Like if you did do that, it'll look better that when you go overseas, like I played in the NBA, but that necessarily doesn't have to be your end goal because it depends on what you want to do, you know. And there's a lot that comes with being in the NBA that a lot of people don't understand. Like, you have a lot of time that is invested into the NBA, and not just for basketball. It's for, you know, airtime. You have to do interviews. You have to do promotions. You have to do sponsorships. There's so many things that you have to do outside of playing basketball, which you have to do overseas, but just not at that degree.
Gotcha.
That, people don't really know. Yeah.
And thank you so much, because I think that this is very valuable information, especially for. I think that one of the best ways to learn from each other, or from learning about life in general, it's hearing it from somebody who has already experienced it. So the fact that you experienced even traveling while you was playing the sport that you love, that is awesome. And also it allows people to really put things into perspective, that you can do anything that you want and that you're good at. So you decided to use your talent and go to the next level, and not just go from college to a job. You know what I mean? You was able to go to overseas after Roberts Wesleyan, I'm assuming, right? Because you finished your 4 years at Roberts Wesleyan?
Yeah.
Okay. So I remember that even at Roberts Wesleyan, doing not coming home for Christmas or even, you know, holidays was tough, and having practices every single day, twice a day. I remember sleeping. I remember just like one practice, after practice, I would just eat like we will eat lunch, and then we'll have our second practice. Then I'll just eat a granola bar and go to sleep until the next day. Next day was the same thing over and over and over again. And I'm like, I think the overseas was going to be a lot more difficult than college basketball. But this is a good thing to know, and thank you for sharing with that. Now, after you, because you're not playing overseas basketball anymore, right? Okay.
No.
After that, what is it that made you go into being an entrepreneur or an actor and model?
So one of the main reasons was that, like I said earlier, I have a daughter, and she was really young when I first started. She was like not even 2. So she was, she got that daddy wasn't there, got that, I see him on the phone and stuff, but it wasn't affecting her as much,
Yeah.
And then when she started to get older, she started noticing that I'm only there for a couple months, because when you play overseas, you're gone. Basketball's a long sport, so you're gone for like 9-10 months out of the year. So she started noticing that more and more, and it just got to a point where I'm like, I want to be in her life more than just a couple months. Like, I want to see her more than just, for the summer. And so that was one of the main reasons why I said, like, this is probably going to be my last year.
Did anybody like, other than your daughter, did you, like, deep inside, because sometimes when we make decisions like that, some people don't make decisions based on how you just said it, because of my daughter wanting more time with me, or me wanting more time with my daughter. Not everybody obviously thinks the same way. So what is it that is so important for you to be around your daughter? Why is that important to you?
It's important to me because as a father, like, daughters need their fathers. Just children in general need both parents around. But I feel like fathers have like a specific connection to their daughters, and I study psychology, and so I know the difference between in development when children don't have both parents in their lives, and both are one parent in their life. You know, there's a difference between the two, and you only have one or two. And it's not that I wasn't in her life; it's just I wasn't there to be present. And so that was in my thought process already. I was already thinking about it, but then to hear it verbalized from her that she wanted me to be there more and stuff, and I talked to my mom about it and stuff, and you know, she was supportive of whatever I do, but she's like, you know, yeah, you want to be there for your daughter too. Like, I understand you. And I see from her, I watched her, you know, sacrifice so much to be there for us and my siblings. So that was, you know, it was easier to understand that and just see that. And then I could see in the basketball, my heart wasn't in it as much because I knew I didn't want to be here anymore. I knew I wanted to be with my daughter. I wanted to be around her. I wanted to be around my family. You know, it took a toll. And so that's what really got me to the point where it's like, okay, this is the decision that I'm gonna make. You know.
Yeah. And you said there was like the second reason too before I interrupted you. Yeah,
and the second reason, it like ties into what we're dealing with right now. What we came on here for. It's like it started to get to a point where I felt like I was being controlled, like I was someone's property. And with sports, it's with athletes, it's hard in general because it's like this is something that you love, and this is something that you want to do, and you have this gift that you want to use.
Yeah.
But it's to a point where these managers of the teams, these owners of the teams, they own you because they're paying you and they expect everything from you. And it got to a point where I felt, because I am Black, I felt it even more. So I felt as like, now I'm someone's slave. Now I have to do everything that someone says just because they're handing me some money. And that took a toll for me as well, because in Mexico, you know, like with the water and stuff, it's hard for people to ingest. And I went to a restaurant, ate some food that they mixed with the water or whatever, and got really sick. And I was really sick and dehydrated and stuff. And they expected me, because they're still paying me. They expected me to still practice and play because they're paying me. And I collapsed on the floor. And it's like, and that's the mentality that they have. Like, you're getting money, so you need to do what we want you to do. So even with what you just said, I just want to just say something. I just think that what sometimes, even I think it goes with anything else too, with jobs nowadays, even with me working at a job, I know that jobs require you to go in regardless if you're sick, your son is sick, or anybody in your family is sick. They expect you to go in, and they really don't care about you as an individual or as a human being. You know what I mean? And for me, I've noticed that. So the fact that you say something like that, it kind of helps to pull things together in some way too, in a different perspective, your truth, your journey. And the fact that your health was not important to none of them, that just shows you. And also, I mean, you could probably share more. Like, do you think that it would have been the same for somebody who was of a white person?
Do you think that would have been the same? Did you notice anything different that was, being done with you too, other than just what you just said? To just try to make sense of everything so that people won't say,
So
well,
in the sense of, it was kind of different in the sense of I was American. So they treated the Americans like, we are paying you to come here, so you have to do everything. But just as a black man, I felt it even more because of that mentality that I already experienced in America, that it like grew too much. It was just too much to deal with, because it was just like, and I think it would have been the same if it was a white American. I feel like it would have still been the same. But it's just, in that sense, it was American. Like, if you're an American, we're paying you to come here, when we could have had one of our own nationals to be on the team. So now you have to do everything that we say. It was just heightened because me being black, I felt it already before. So I'm feeling it like 2 times over.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it just got to that point where it was just like, all right, this is not how I envisioned it. This is not what this is really like a sign that is telling me, all right, maybe this is the time to start moving into a lane where I can do something myself.
So that's where you ended up coming. So your daughter was number one reason for not doing overseas anymore. Second reason was the fact that just the expectation of you playing and going to practice, regardless if you got sick or you was like in danger of anything, that they didn't care and they needed you to step up and just do it, And sometimes I feel like there is a difference between giving them your all, right? Or somebody may be saying, well, because we've seen it even in sports, right? People like partying the night before, or people staying up to 4 a.m. and maybe they're vomiting because of their choices that they made the night before, and then saying, I'm sorry, I can't play. That's a totally different excuse versus what you're saying. You just went out you was in a foreign country and you ate something you was not feeling. You was really feeling sick because of what you ate. And regardless of how you felt, they didn't care about that excuse. They just care about you being there and them getting their money and winning.
Right. Even I forgot to mention it's another time later on in my span of playing basketball where my grandmother passed, and I couldn't even go back home because we had a game the next day and they wouldn't allow me to go home.
Wow.
Yeah, so like that was like one of the last straws with that. So that's where I was just like, all right, I couldn't, like, if something like that happened again, I would just have to forfeit that money because I'm going home,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. That's, the things that we're asked to do, sometimes we say, well, it comes with the job, but there comes certain things are just being human. You know what I mean? And if you're a human being and you care for other human beings, I think that there needs to be something in that changes, like your heart should be touched and be like, yeah, that, that's a family member, or you really, really sick. We care about you as an individual and we hope you get better and we'll see you tomorrow. Something like that. You know what I mean? Wish that there was more of that. And the other thing is, with you sharing your truth about being a Black man, Black entrepreneur, have you or anyone close to you, or have you witnessed police brutality?
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing either one example or 2 examples? Because I just want to I think that it's very important for us to share our own experiences so that people are aware that it happens more often than what we've seen, even though technology is all around us. Police brutality didn't just start. We just got to make that clear. Police brutality was not just something recent. Police brutality has been an issue for the longest time. And I think that now that there is technology and people are able to record everything, I think that is really hitting people in their hearts and saying, wow, this is really, really, really bad. And I think that we need to have some change. But I would like for you to share a few experiences, if one example or two examples, so that somebody else can learn from it too.
Yeah, sure. Just to start, police brutality has been going on since the induction of the police force. So and that was in the 1700s. So this has been going on since then towards Black and brown people. Thankfully, I haven't experienced it firsthand where I'm being brutalized by the police, but I have definitely witnessed it. There's been times where just off of a random stop where went through a stop sign. We didn't completely stop at a stop sign.
Okay, it's almost like a rollover.
Yeah, rolling stop.
Rolling stop, yeah.
This is on a street where two of the because it was an intersection, two of those sides were dead ends. So all you could do was come from one street to turn left on the other street. And so that's why it was a rolling stop. It was with my father. And we were all in the car. We're excited. We're about to take our trip to Florida from New York. We're about to do a road trip, know. And this was just in the night. And then he didn't stop us right there. He followed us from multiple streets, followed us, then pulled us over. And his reasoning was because of the rolling stop. But then two more police officers pull up and they're taking us out of the car, getting us out of the car because apparently there's someone they're looking for a car that looks the same. Yet the identification of there's two kids in the car, me and my younger brother, my mom, and my dad, that still wasn't enough, for them. So they take us all out of the car as if we are under arrest. And obviously my dad's irate and he's going off on them, but he's trying to stay calm because he knows this situation can go left at any moment. Yeah. And he has two kids and his wife right here. So he has to try and keep his composure. And they keep us for maybe over an hour until they say, this isn't the car, you guys are free to go. And they, as if it's nothing. And that they didn't just stop us. And me and my brother, we're like, what's going on? We're worried and trying to figure out what's going on because our dad is pissed off, yelling at people, and the cops are all around us on their holster, ready for anything to go on. We're some, criminals. Bank robbers or something.
Basically, if you guys are criminals, that's how it is. Exactly. And now, was that your first taste of racism that you saw or that you experienced, or no?
Unfortunately, no. It was when I was a little bit younger. I think I was 8 years old. And I was in the store with my mom, and I was a really bubbly, bouncy type of kid. Yes. I just wanted to help people and stuff or whatever. And there was this old lady in front of us at the grocery store in the line. She just got her paid for her groceries or whatever. And she was really feeble. So I'm thinking, okay, let me help her. So I started helping her put her bags in her cart. And she snatches it away from me and tell me to stop trying to steal her stuff. Oh. And I'm a child. I'm ignorant to it. So I'm I'm not trying to help. I'm not trying to steal, trying to explain. Yeah. If my mom comes over and pulls me to the side and starts getting in her face because, she's yelling at a child for helping me and then accusing him of stealing. And that was my first instance of racism or prejudice in this country. And then I witnessed maybe a couple years later, my older brother, we were getting on a bus, and this old white lady, tried to push us out of the way and move, nigger. And that's what she says to me or to him. And that was the big eye opener, you know what I mean? Because we hear about it, but like our parents definitely raised us right, where we knew about our history, knew about this country's history. But I haven't like witnessed it full on myself,
yeah, in yourself or your family. Now, what was this in New York?
Yeah, this was in New York.
Okay. Because the reason I say where is just so that people can try to understand that racism is everywhere. Like this situation just doesn't happen in a few areas. It happens more often than that, and this is why it's important for us to even have a conversation and talk about it and say, wow, you got basically. So this is the thing where it's I want to put it into terms and maybe it doesn't make any sense, but you as a young child who was raised the right way to notice that maybe an older person who needed help with their groceries or just anything, you will be willing to go there and support. So by you doing the right thing and by you doing a kindness for somebody else, because of the color of your skin, you was told, no, you cannot help me and stop trying to steal my groceries. So they totally took that kindness and put it in a criminal act.
Right.
And if that would have been worse, that could have gotten worse in a situation where this woman could have called the police and say, this little boy is trying to steal my groceries. Right. They could have seen maybe the cameras and saw that you were helping and maybe giving it to her, but they could just justify their wrong behavior, and say something that out of kindness, out of some actions that you did, which was kind, was intended for you to be put as a criminal because of who you are and what color your skin is. And then the fact that your brother then experienced being called the N-word, just like that, it's like, to me, it's like bothering, because it's just, to me, I'm like, wow, you're so comfortable with saying that word. You're just so easy. It just comes out of your mouth like if you've been practicing it every single day of your life.
It's inbred. It's in there. It's
in their system.
History.
It's in their system. It's in their history. And remember, even the segregation laws and the history, it hasn't been that long, 100 years since, like, since we could all be in the same restaurant, since we could all be walking in the same sidewalk, or we could all be in the same playground. But things are still not changed.
Yeah, it's not at all. And you're totally right about how it's often put off like, oh, that was so long ago and stuff. Ruby Bridges, who was with the Brown versus Board education to get the segregation of schools to be segregated, she's still alive. She is alive and well. She's you know what I'm saying? That's how short ago it was. It's not that long. Like, people think, oh, it was hundreds of years ago, and it was prevalent, and it still is. Like, it was in our generation or our generation before us.
And like you said, so this is why we're bringing this conversation, and we want to talk about it, because I have a son who is 10 years old. You was not too long when you experienced that type of racism. Your brother was not much older than 10 years old after he experienced that type of racism. And this is why, like, it's good even for me to educate my son at a younger age, and literally, because he could have already experienced something, but he still hasn't really told me about it. You know what I mean? All I've known is that with school, He's been put on timeouts like too many times. His recess has been taken away way too many times. His has been taken out of the classroom way too many times. When I know for a fact in the history of even his classroom, I know he's not the kid that has to be out of recess and has to be out of the classroom and has to get a detention or after school detention at his age.
Right.
Because what they're saying is that their playfulness is too much.
Right.
Their laughter is too much. Their playing time is too much. They're too unfocused. Right. So this is the part where I'm trying to tell you, like what you said when you was 8 years old, your kindness of what you was doing was turned into a criminal act.
Exactly.
That's what they will do. That's what they will be doing to our kids, and that's what they're doing to our kids now too. Mm-hmm. It's just in a different platform. It's just in a different setting, but it's still the same thing. It's trying to keep a child from growing.
For sure.
And traumatizing them at a younger age.
The systemic racism is not just in the police. Mm-hmm. It's not just in the fire department. It's not just in the medical field. It's in education. It's in laws. It's mm-hmm. It's in housing. It's in every aspect of this country that needs to be one, brought to the light, mm-hmm. and it needs to be eradicated because it's something that is very prevalent and it's gone on so long that now it is normalized.
Yes.
And people see it as if we're going against the racism, they think we're going against America because mm-hmm. it's so normalized mm-hmm. that it is ingrained in America's history.
Yes.
And that's the thing that we have to bring light, especially to the younger generation, because they need to understand it as well, which I think they're starting to more so than like our generation or our parents' generation.
Yeah.
They're understanding it more so, and it does help with technology. But they need to actually do their work and learn the history from books and research and find out the truth, because a lot of education, which I wanted
in
to
schools,
get into as
right?
well,
Mm-hmm.
it's very watered down. It's very it's like made for a cartoon or something. It doesn't go into the nitty gritty of what things are and what things were.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of history and they change it and perverse it to make it sound better or make it sound not as bad in their sense. But with other countries, they were horrible. They did the worst things. And that's why we fought them. That's why we went to war with them.
Yeah.
But in our own country, it was just a little thing, a couple things we did, this little thing called racism, but that's over now. But they need to understand the truth and the horrors that actually took place so that it's not repeated.
So somebody just said, like in the comments, it says, we want transparency, we want body cams, and that they should be a requirement and that the public should have access to those files. And to be honest, I think that's something good. I think that's a good idea to even try to start making changes in this country. But as we see now, we have cameras though, and we saw the death of George Floyd right in front of our faces. And do you see how difficult it is to even charge those officers for killing another human being, even though there is proof? Even though we all see it.
And yes, body cams is a step, but it goes so far beyond body cams because one, with the body cams, they can be turned off right now.
Yeah.
Two, some of them are just on phones. If you don't know, some of them are just on phones. So it's not an actual wireless camera that is connected to a server somewhere else. It's just turning it off and then that's it. And then they can say, oh, my camera is off.
Yeah.
3, there's so many body cameras that are able to be taken off. So if they're wrestling or tussling with the man that was just killed because he was drunk, he was sleeping in his car because he was drunk, the cop's body cam fell off. So they can't even use that with with their body cam. They can't even use that against them because they shot this man in the back running away.
But Alif, again, it's that we all see it. It's that some choose not to see it.
Right.
And that's the reality of it. I see it, you see it. People who have a heart for human decency of how a human should be treated and how a human should be, even if they're doing something wrong, how they should be treated, then we all see it. It's only if you don't want to see it that you keep trying to fight the part of being a human, because there's no way that we just can keep talking about it. Like, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think you probably feel the same way. Like, it's sad that we have to talk about it, and we have to keep talking about it, and we have to keep hearing news about it and saying, well, they might not have enough evidence, but we all see what went down.
Right.
We all know that everything that happened in there was wrong from the very beginning.
Right.
That's it. Wrong. So just based on that, it, just go with what it is that this person needs to be criminalized for, because there's no way on earth that they can say George Floyd's death was we need to go look at this. We need to go. No. We all saw it. That's it.
We all saw it.
That's it.
And like I wanted to explain about the whole defunding the police thing, because that's been like something that's been very big, and people are saying, oh, if we defund the police, it'll be like the Wild Wild West again, or it'll be chaos and everything. And I wanted to really explain, like, people are saying defund the police because yearly they're getting over $100 billion.
Wow.
Now, we have so many things where kids weren't receiving their diplomas because they have a school lunch debt.
Aww.
And we have social workers who are barely making any money, teachers who are making $30,000 a year. All of this money that is going into the police to have them militarized as if we are a foreign country that they're trying to fight in a war, when they're supposed to be peacekeepers. They're supposed to be serving the community. And when we say defund the police, we're not saying eradicate police, which, I mean, the inception of police were from slave captors, but that's a whole nother topic. But when we're saying defund the police, we're saying take all of that money that you're throwing at them for who knows what, and put it into the actual community where it can help people. Because, like you said earlier, this country has perversed Black and Brown's actions into a criminal act. So if we stop treating everything that is done as a criminal act, and maybe start with the root problem, or find other ways of correcting the problem before trying to take their life, then we'll be in a better state.
Yep.
And I don't understand why the police would need $100 billion anyways a year. Like, why do you need that much money anyways? And to the point of where we're at right now in this pandemic with COVID-19, we still have people who are homeless without insurance.
Yeah.
They're starving because they have no money, and we still haven't given any other money out besides that little stimulus check that we got in the beginning, because there's no money, but we're giving so much money to a police force that is not technically doing their job, which is serving the community. And like, I want that to be understood. Just people aren't saying, oh, just take their money and like never have police again.
Yeah.
We're saying they need to be defunded, and they need to take that money and they need to give it to places where it can work for the community. And we also need to take these people who are supposed to be serving the community and train them.
Yeah.
Because I had some facts because I wanted people to actually understand. So it takes 21 weeks of training to become a cop.
Wow.
That's in countries or in states like North Carolina, Florida. It takes more than half of that time to be a barber or manicurist or hairstylist. So you're telling me that to become a barber or a hairstylist or manicurist, you need more training than to be a police officer who has a gun, who has the authority to take someone's life. This is what we need to understand. Like, we're not saying that, oh, cops don't help or whatever. We're saying that there is a problem, and it is specifically directed at Black and brown people.
Yep.
And it's not just Black and brown people. There are a lot of white people that have been killed unjustly through police as well. So I don't know if it's like the police officer person or if it's the actual structure of the police force, because they have that, they're made into this mentality where it's a blue mentality. So it's like kind of like a brainwashing, like everything comes before, or the police force is first before anything.
Yeah.
And even if you see your fellow police officer doing something wrong, being racist, being aggressive for no reason, I'm not going to say anything because he's a fellow police officer, and it's like they're targeting us, and we're in the direct response is not every cop is bad, but if you're not saying something, you are part of the problem. If a Nazi is killing a Jew and another Nazi officer is letting him do it, he's just as bad as the other one.
Yeah.
He could have a Jewish wife. He could have Jewish kids. He could have Jewish friends. But if he is letting someone else do something to someone else unjustly and not doing anything, then he is part of the problem. And that's why defund the police is such a big thing, because they need to be corrected. They need to be trained way better.
Yep.
In Norway and Finland, it's a 4-year program to become an officer. It's the training is extensive, and that's why they don't have as many killings. They don't have as many shootings from police officers or deaths from police officers. It's too much. So I just wanted to, throw that out there so that
no. And thank you for sharing that. And I know that even with what you just said, I know a lot of people have, even myself, because again, I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. And I'm assuming that you will say the same thing, Alif, but we have to start sharing the truth of what we know, what our research has shown too. If somebody else has something else that I can learn from it, send it to me. I'm more than happy to read it. I'm more than, even books, right? Just learning the history through books, through audiobooks. Now you can listen to a lot of different things, but also knowing your resources, making sure that the resource or that where the article is coming from, that is valid and is educated, and it's actually is coming from somebody who is actually like ourselves, who have experienced the racism, who is talking about the statistics, right? And sometimes we want to say, I don't want to say it, but sometimes statistics could be made allied in some way to protect certain people in this case, right? That's why every time we go to the doctors, they ask for our ethnicity, our race, right? That's why every time we go to a job interview and we do the application, they ask for our ethnicity and our race. They ask all of those things because it's statistics, right? So if we want to use statistics, they listen to those statistics too, right? So that's one of the things. And I know that another thing, I know that people have posted it all over too, is that movie, The 13th. It's called The 13th.
Oh, right. Yes.
And people are just starting to watch that and just educating themselves. I'm not saying that that's all you should do. I'm just saying that this is something that I know that could help you understand things a little bit better. That's one way to start, And again, I don't know everything. So like when people, like if I'm sharing something, if I'm sharing a post, for me as a Latina person, it's somebody who has experienced stereotype and somebody who has been put down at a job, right? At one of my jobs, this lady was literally a Hitler, my boss. And let me tell you, for 2 years that she was there, she made sure that she made my life very, very difficult. Very difficult. And I'm just like, like I wrote to HR, I did my part, but I feel like there's not a lot of people listening to us.
Right.
The system does not support us.
Right.
Because Alif, if you experience racial discrimination at your job, and even though they talk about it, well, if you've been raised, like if something is going on, you've been harassed or whatever, we'll take action for it. But when somebody stands up for it and somebody actually goes and speaks about it, they don't take action.
Exactly.
That's the part that I'm at. That's the part where I'm like, if I knew that there was a system that said, yes, we don't want racism, okay, we believe you. But then somebody is facing the racist part of somebody else who is above you, right? Who can keep you from doing your job well, one, and from you growing, two, and discriminating you with everything that you are and who you are. They're trying to take you out like that, just because they don't like you, just because they're racist against you. I stand up. But then with me standing up, nobody does anything. That woman never came and apologized to me. Never. Nobody ever came and say, hey, how is it that we can make you feel comfortable in this workplace? How can we hold that person accountable for their actions? And let me tell you, that's not going to happen again. And I think that's what we need. But then also that leads us to the next thing, Alif. And I know you was going to share, because I saw you on your Instagram, you share an experience of a sister of yours who had a miscarriage because of a police brutality.
Yeah.
Can you just share that? Because I think that's something everybody needs to hear.
So to clarify, it wasn't my actual sister. I mean my brother and sister in arms, but it was a lady out here actually in California. She is now suing, her and her husband, now husband, it was fiance at the time. They're suing the police department because she was driving, I don't know why, but she was driving from her OBGYN appointment, and which is a clear indication, she still had her hospital gown on. So she was visibly pregnant. She still had her hospital gown on. The reasoning was that she was speeding, I believe. And then 2 more patrol officers came, and they pulled them out the car. They obviously were agitated because they're telling them what's going on and talking to them, and the police officers aren't listening. They pulled them out the car and trying to arrest them. I guess because she was resisting arrest, they multiple times kicked her in her stomach, where she had a miscarriage, and it's so disheartening because
even though they obviously, I would have, if when I was pregnant with my son, if a police officer would have pulled me over and I'm pregnant, I will make sure that police officer knows that I'm pregnant and to not do anything to make sure that I don't get injured. One, and that my unborn child also gets injured.
Maternal instinct.
Yes.
That's maternal instinct. You're not going to put yourself or your child in any danger. And she said she told them multiple times that she was pregnant while being visibly pregnant. So it wasn't as if she was like a couple months. She was visibly pregnant. She was close to term. And she lost that child. And that can never be replaced. no amount of money that they get from this lawsuit can never replace the child that they don't have anymore. That's so disheartening for her and for the husband, like that they lost their child because of the police just not caring for them how they should because of the color of their skin. Because that would not happen
if it was a white person,
who is white. Because there's been multiple instances where I just saw a recording of a man in, I want to say Alabama, but a man who just killed his fiance and her daughter.
Yes, I heard about that.
Chasing the cop, and the cop's running away instead of subduing him or shooting him like he does everyone else.
Yeah.
But he is running, or he has no weapons in his hand. Or he had a hammer in his hand. He had a hammer in his hand. He was naked, and he's running at him, trying to
at the
attack
police
him.
officer. Yeah.
Yes, and the police officer is running away. But there are Black men and women who are doing nothing, no weapons, compliant, and still dying.
Wow.
And that is the disparity, and that is the problem in this country.
And that's why I've said it before, and I shared it in one of my other videos. Like I said, we do what you want us to do. Yes, sir. Okay, put your hands on the wheel. Okay. Put your hands up. Okay. But you also, as a police officer, are trained just in the same way as somebody who is not maybe able to listen to you or consciously. You're trained, or you should be trained to know how to deal and handle those situations.
Exactly.
Because let me tell you, if you was in a school system, right, in a school, and a child is refusing to listen to go to class, let me tell you, you're not allowed to put hands on that child.
Right.
You're not. You could get you will get fired.
Right.
Something will happen. You're not allowed to put hands, and you're not allowed to go and beat a child up on the floor. No teacher will ever get away with anything like that. So why do you think a police officer should be able to get away with that? Why? You know, and we say, okay, sir, and one of the biggest thing is making sure, how do we avoid this? How do we try to even more? How do we educate ourselves to avoid police? And one of the things, you know, that I've learned too, even from, I watched T.I., his show on YouTube, you know, one of the shows he said, you know, making sure that you have your seatbelt on, making sure you have everything that you're supposed to do to make sure that they don't stop you. They don't have no reason to stop you. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate that we continuously have to keep working hard and keep like always being mindful about everything, every little thing we do, so our life is not taking away that easy. You know,
it's sad that we even, you know, like have to have that talk with our kids to tell them how to be more controlled in a situation where people are supposed to be trained to do that, you know. And a lot of people don't understand that we have to tell our kids how to be so calm and coherent and speak clearly, keep your hands visible, have all your information ready. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. So we have to be so controlled, and we're paying our money, our tax-paying money, for these people to not be controlled. It blows my mind that we are teaching our kids to be so compliant and try and get them to be so controlled in a situation where the person of authority is supposed to be controlled, but they can say that I feared for my life and that's why I killed him. That's the excuse that they've used so many times, that I feared for my life. But you chose to be in this job. Like, especially now, there's so many cops that aren't putting on their uniform until they get to work because of the backlash that police officers are getting right now. But the thing is, the privilege that they have to do that is what we're talking about. They can take off their uniform because they chose that position. We can't take off our skin.
Nope.
We can't choose to be something else other than what we are. We can't do that. And the thing is that we are getting assaulted for things that we can't choose.
Yes.
And you have that privilege to take that off and then, oh, I'm just a regular guy now. But then when you put that uniform on, you're a person of power, and now you have the control over us. And if you're not controlled yourself, then we suffer the consequences.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to ask you, what actions, because I know it is easy to talk and to, I mean, with us, we're sharing our truth. That's the number one thing. Right. 2, how is it that we're taking action to make sure that we don't support this type of racism? What is it that you're doing? And then I can share something.
So first and foremost, we have to keep the people around us in check. So it's one thing to say it online. It's one thing to post about it, but in your family, in your relationships, in your children or your parents, at your job, if you hear something racist, if you hear something prejudiced come from someone's mouth, or you hear someone being aggressive or racist to another person of color, or if you're a white person, you see that happening, you need to speak up. You need to say something. You need to defend that person because that is a human being and they shouldn't be treated like that just because of who they are or the color of their skin.
Yeah.
And that's the first and foremost. That's what I've been on that for the longest time.
And how many friends have you lost?
Friends, a lot. But to me, it's not losing. It's gaining my peace because they clearly aren't on the same wavelength as me. So I don't want to be around that. And I let them know that first because I want them to understand why we're not friends anymore. Because if we were friends, you would be supporting me. You would be here and be talking about it. And I've had the difficult conversation with my close friends because I wanted to make sure that they're on the same wave. I wanted to keep them accountable. And, if they were receptive to that and they understood, then yeah, we can, obviously we're still friends. But if you're not receptive to that, then you have no space within me. You have no space around me or in my vicinity. And I've lost a lot of people that I used to follow or friends wherever. But it doesn't affect me because they clearly weren't, true to our friendship.
Yeah. Not even your friendship like that. Let me just put it like this because it's clear what it is. Okay. They love our culture. They love our food. They love your charisma. They love how we are as individuals, I guess. And they love how we dress. They love our music. They love everything that makes us who we are, but they hate us. They envy us in some way because truly, if somebody really is there for you, they love you for who you are. And yes, there's a difference between helping a friend become a better individual and a better person, educating each other and stuff like that when they're wrong. But at the end of the day is, don't just be my friend just because you can say I have one black friend.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or don't just be my friend because you just love my Spanish music or you love my Spanish food. Right. Don't just say that. Make sure that you're standing with us, especially when it comes to all of this racism that we're going through. And to be honest, even with my job, it was very, very, it was bombarding that I noticed other people who should have had my back, that they didn't have my back.
Right.
You know what I mean? And even we can hold our own people accountable. We have to start uniting together and working together as a team so that nobody can mess with none of us and our kids either. Because at the end of the day, it's our kids' future now. You know what I mean? And whatever we're doing now to help their future is going to really impact them in a positive way or a negative way. And for me, I'd rather have friends around me that are going to be positive and help me protect my son versus somebody who's gonna just say, yeah, that was my friend, but we're not friends no more because some we don't agree with racism. You know what I mean? I don't see black or white or whatever. No, it's confusing. We're not dealing with that. You know what I mean? So what else are you doing other than keeping your friends in check?
Other than that, I'm also noticing what businesses, well, one, I'm supporting more Black and brown businesses because that is the backbone of this country. And I'm supporting them more so now than I have ever because I want that to be a statement in myself, and I want that to be a statement in my child, like so she can grow up to understand that. But I'm also keeping these other businesses who are owned by whomever accountable. And if I feel that they are not upholding who they are pandering to and getting their money from, then I will not give them my money. I will not give them my support. Like Starbucks, that was a huge thing that just happened when they're stopping an employee from wearing a mask that says Black Lives Matter as if it's a political thing, and they're telling them that firing him because he won't go in without wearing it because you're telling him that it's a political thing. This is a human rights thing. It's not political. This is something that we should not even have to be dealing with, but yet we are in 2020. And that is one reason why I will never go to Starbucks again. Even if when they did apologize, it's not enough because if you really felt that way, you would have been that way from jump, and you would have been making actions to make sure that the people who are in charge view it the same way and uphold that same standard. Like Ben and Jerry's, that is a night and day from like what Starbucks is doing and what they're doing. Ben and Jerry's has been on the side of the oppressed for so long, and they're public about it, and they have actions towards it. They don't just say it. They don't just put it up there for the trend and make it so we still get your money, and behind closed doors we don't care about you, but we'll say it right here. They actually put their money where their mouth is. They donate. They support. They help out. And I support businesses like that instead of the ones that aren't doing it, or they have done something and then try to retract their statement, or they try and we apologize and we're here for everyone, blah blah blah. I'm not here for that. Yeah. Like NFL, I haven't watched NFL for the longest time because of the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, and now they're trying to join the wave of with equality and all this, but they still haven't apologized to Colin Kaepernick for peacefully protesting.
And they will not give him his job back for sure. Yep.
No, or his money that he's owed. So it's like I will never support NFL again, and that's what another thing I was talking about with the whole slave thing, or feeling as if I'm a slave being an athlete, and that's a lot of people feel and they deal with. I don't know if you're still there. Oh, okay. I am. Yeah. People feel and deal with because of that slave mentality, or they feel like they're being controlled because they pay them. So that's another thing that I've been doing, just stopping those businesses, because that money flow is what's supporting them. We're supporting them. Like, we spend, I wanted to say, I think it was like $1 trillion. Black people spend like $1 trillion in consumer goods or more, and we're spending that, but we're not getting appreciated. We're not getting treated fairly. So it's like we need to join together and have some type of discipline, and our allies have to do the same. Yep. And the people who say they're our allies and people who believe the same way have to do the same and have discipline to shut down and not give these businesses our money when they're not for us, and then they'll understand. Yeah, and even with that, like I'm
like I agree with you with keeping family and the people around you in check. I know that I have some people that I know that they've kept their family members or friends in check with when it comes to this whole with racism. The other thing is what you said, like stop supporting businesses that clearly do not care about you, my child, your child, and Latino people, Black people, Indian people. Okay, they clearly don't care about us. They care about the money and them making money, and that's it. So I think that once we get that, and like you say, you use a good word, because we're not so disciplined, and that's what is difficult about us. I think we need to really say no to supporting these businesses. And even though you might be like, man, I can't wear that nice clothes, that this, remember, you guys, all of this stuff is materialistic. When we die, none of this is gonna go with us.
Right.
So I know I've changed the way I thought about clothes, and I thought about makeup, or just I thought about things that I needed to make myself feel better. I've changed my whole mindset about that, because at the end of the day, what's important is about what's in our mind. You know what I mean? How we take care of our health. That's number one too. And how we're raising little human beings like my son and your daughter to be better human beings for this world, so that they can bring change into the unjust of everything that's going on. And the other thing, like you say, since this whole thing with Colin Kaepernick, I have stopped watching the NFL, and I know so many people who are against what's going on right now, but they still watch NFL. And it breaks my heart, because we have been so brainwashed to the point that we are not able to have that self-discipline and say, no, we're not going to support system or people or organizations or business that keep putting your son and my son in danger every time they go on the road. Every time that you go out, Alif, I am sure that you sometimes just are like, you said a prayer out and say, God, protect me. God, watch over me, because it is unknown. You know what I mean? And for us to live in fear like that in a country that's supposedly be the greatest country, you know what I mean? And in some way, that's a different discussion. Like, yes, we can come to this country and make anything of ourselves. That's why I believe that we can change what's going on if we unite, if we have self-discipline. You know what I mean? And just like you being an entrepreneur and being a personal trainer, because you're a personal trainer and you started your own candle foundation, let's find out more about you. Let's find out. So you live in a certain area, maybe not everybody is where he's at, but let's support Alif. Let's support somebody who's actually trying to make it, and is going to treat your son and your daughter, my son and his daughter, and other children equally, and the same, and with respect. Let's support people like us, because at the end of the day, we can say all we want to say, but if we don't have that discipline of not watching the NFL, because they do not care about us, they do not care about it. And if they did, they would have, Colin Kaepernick till this day will have his job back. You know what I mean? But I think we're beyond that. And I think that for me, I don't buy brand clothes anymore at all. I just buy, like, if my son needs clothes, I just buy something that is going to really like fit him, because if he stops growing, I will stop buying clothes for him. But every time I buy him, I don't put importance in materialistic things. I don't. And I think that that's a few ways for us to be able to say, how can we help? How can we help change what's going on? And those are a few things, because money, listen, they might have money right now, but if we stop and we unite and we have self-discipline and we stop supporting those organizations, those businesses that don't care about us. There's a video out right now where a mom was denied of going to eat with her son because her son, her Black boy, had basketball shorts on and had a regular t-shirt on, and she was told that she could not go to that restaurant. And guess,
then
yeah. And then on the other side, there was a white boy with basketball shorts and a t-shirt, no mask on either, and he just finished eating with his family comfortably.
Right.
So I say, when I watch videos like that, I say, why do you go, Black moms and family? You are, listen. We have the seasoning. We can cook. We can cook. If you can't cook, there is YouTube. You can find everything now. Find resources. Come up with something for yourself. Come up with something and become something else, and stop supporting these businesses who don't give a nothing about you and traumatize our children like that. You know, Alif, I know you can chef it up. So you know what I mean? Anytime you see anything like that, like any stores, like I don't go out to restaurants anymore. I don't support restaurants like that. I literally go and eat. If I eat anything, it's like vegan food or vegetarian food, you know, here and there. But I cook all my food. My boyfriend cooks all the food because he's also a personal trainer too. We've learned, and that's the beauty of learning and educating yourself and becoming healthier within your body and your mind. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So, Alif, one last question.
All right.
So, what would you want to say to a little Black boy and a little Black boy moving on forward? It could be anything. What would you want to say to them?
There's so much to say, but the first thing is, you are loved, you are amazing, you are strong, you are empathetic, you are emotional, you are wise, stand in your strength, love yourself, number one, spread love. It's so much, like, just be prepared for this world because it isn't perfect. Understand that, but overcome it and make sure that it doesn't control you or bring you down. Stand in your light and try and make this world better because we need you.
That's awesome. Thank you. And I will say to every little Black boy or teenager, or even, you know, even adult, but a little Black boy and a little Black girl, because I have my son and he has his daughter, young daughter too. Just know that be you, be authentic, be unique, and always don't. There's always gonna be hardship in this world, especially even in school, because I know kids can be really, really mean these days. Okay, but just know that there is a process to everything, and there is time for everything. So there is going to be times where you're gonna want to feel like crying, where there's going to be times when you feel like you don't feel good about yourself, you feel down about yourself, you second guess about who you are and what it is that you want to do. Just know that that's part of the process of living this life. And just know that even like me, somebody who came from a whole different country, and I was an orphan, if I was able to become educated and I was able to self-reflect and also see where I came from and try to make a difference in this world with my actions, with everything that I'm doing right now and how I'm educating my son, know that there is hope, always, that there is hope. And you're not always gonna be agreeing with everybody. That's also the thing. Not everybody's gonna agree with you, and that's okay. That's okay. Find the people that support you, find the people that love you, and always just be you and just be unique, because you got that you know what I mean? Alif, you've always been a fun individual. I think everybody gets along with you. I've seen you literally, like in college, you was friends with everybody, and there was never somebody who said something negative about you. So you're literally like this person right now, Alif, he's great. I suggest, support him too. I know that we're so far away. I'm in New York and you are you are where? LA. LA, man. Wow, LA. So he's doing his thing out there. He didn't have, past experiences stop him. And he's still learning. That's the part about us too, that I love learning from other people, that we learn. We are still learning, and that we don't know everything, but we're trying. And that's only by sharing our truth. And I thank you for being here, Alif. Is there anything else you want to share with us?
If you like candles, follow me on my business partner's page at Holistic Candle.
Okay.
If you're in LA and you need a trainer, let me know. My Instagram is Alif Bland Fit. And spread love, man. This is the time to raise awareness and to spread kindness and to change. Like, with everything going on in this world, we know how quick it can end. We know at any moment it doesn't have to be here. So just like spread love and spread awareness and educate yourself and become better. Evolve. It's time to evolve. We've been stuck for too long. It's time to evolve into a better person, into a better community, into a better nation, into a better world. So we need to stop worrying about the small, insignificant things and worry about the things that truly matter, so that we can become better.
That's awesome. And I thank you, Alif, for being here and taking the time to talk to us. Problem. And even just don't hesitate. If anybody wants to even know about Alif, let me know too. If you have a comment, if you want to share, if you don't mind sharing this video too, that would be awesome. Just because I know that we can learn from each other. And I know that there is somebody out there who really needs the motivation and that aspect of, wow, she looks like me, wow, he looks like me. Like, if they can do it, then I can do it too, you know what I mean? And we were like that when we were little. So I definitely appreciate your time, and I appreciate everybody that was watching and following us. And again, I'm going to keep learning. Tomorrow, I'm going to be live too with Dana. She's from Mexico, and she has a lot to say too. So come and also watch. And Alif, you are an awesome person. Continue to just keep inspiring and keep making videos of your personal training. Keep just sharing. And guess what? Don't care what anybody says, because it's going to reach to the right people. And the right people are going to like it. The right people are going to follow you. And that's how you're going to bring more business into your life too. And just because you're a very kind person, individual too. And I know your daughter's like following through your footsteps too. You are in the right path, and let's support him, you guys. So we're definitely going to be supporting you with that, with your candle and even personal training, if I ever go to LA. You know what I mean? So yeah, but keep going and keep being strong, and know that you always have a friend in me, and we're building a community here too. Okay.
For sure. Same here.
Thank you. So I'm going to say bye to everybody and hope to see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye. Let me see.